What's going on, everybody? This is Jeremy Ritz here. Courage pays better than fear trading. This is the Traders Podcast, episode number 39, one away from number 40. And just want to start by saying happy Thanksgiving. It is Thanksgiving week, and it's time to express my gratitude and appreciation to all of you out there for being supporters of the Traders Podcast. It really does mean so much to me that you have supported me through this process in my first year of running this business, that you've watched the Traders Podcast, my coaching students out there, those of you who participated in the classes that I taught, those of you participating in Profit Pioneers right now. I just want to say thank you, because it's all about creating a community of people who are learning trading, are developing their skill in trading, and are working towards making this a part of their lives. And to be a part of that with all of you is something very special. And I just want to say thank you for that. And so thank you. It's episode 39, and let's get after it, because today you can see I've got the Griswold jersey on. It's the holiday season, and we're going to talk about the Santa Claus Rally, what it is, the stats surrounding it, and how to profit off of that. All of that and more in episode 39 of the Traders Podcast. What's been happening since we last chatted? Obviously, we had the big pump in the markets from the election with Trump being elected as president. We saw markets run super high, and then we did see a pullback. We saw Bitcoin run. It's running today. It's pushing to try to get back to that, not get back to, but to achieve the $100,000 level. And, you know, there's a dip that's occurring here. And this is Monday that I'm recording this. There's a dip that's occurring here on Bitcoin, got down into the 95,000 region. You had some buyers come in. We'll see if we could press and hit that 100K by the end of the week. And it's a unique week for the markets because, number one, we have the markets closed on Thursday for Thanksgiving, obviously. And then Friday, the markets will close at 1 p.m. It is Black Friday. It's going to be crazy. But as we're heading into this time of year, we need to talk about the Santa Claus Rally. And a lot of you might be asking, well, what in the world is a Santa Claus Rally? And it sounds festive, but it's not all about reindeer and sleigh bells. It's about profiting. It's about stocks going higher in the market. And it's something that we need to be aware of, because not only can we profit from it, but we can have a good idea about what that means in terms of stocks and the market for next year. And so basically, when we talk about seasonality, something that you hear me discuss a lot on the show, that just means what stocks tend to do at particular times during the year. And we know that November is the start of what is a strong run, a strong push in the market that runs into April in your bullish years. And so we're there now, right? We're in this last week of Thanksgiving, but there's also this concept, this phenomenon that is known as a Santa Claus Rally. And it occurs in the final week of December. Now, I know we're a little bit a ways away from that, but if we're going to profit from this, if we're going to take advantage of it, we need to be aware of it. And it occurs the final week of December, a few days into January. And basically what happens is we see a spike in stock prices. And if we're aware of that, and if we know what typically happens, we could take advantage of it for ourselves as traders. Now, with the stock market, not everything is guaranteed. To quote Jeremy Newsom, who's been on the show, my mentor, everything works in the stock market, just not all the time. And that is true when it comes to the Santa Claus Rally as well. However, there is a certain level of predictability with it because it has happened so frequently in the markets. So the question is why does the Santa Claus Rally happen? And there's a few factors that contribute to this rally, right? We think of the jolly old bearded fat man, Saint Nick with the red cap. We think of the reindeer, and just think of the sentiment associated with Santa. There's optimism, and that applies to this rally that we're discussing. It's year-end optimism. And really, when we see this rally take place, that means that investors and traders have a positive outlook to finish up the year. And what that does is it sets the tone for the upcoming year, 2025. And we'll get into the predictive power of the Santa Claus Rally and what it does mean for the year following. But what we'll see at this time, this last week, you see investors, big institutional traders rebalancing their portfolio, moving out of positions, entering into new positions, and it adds to that upward momentum. So that's one thing that contributes to it. But it's also, too, the holiday spending that occurs. Think about it. Black Friday happens this coming Friday, and we know that it is insane, right? A little story about me. Back in the day when I was in college, I worked at Walmart, and I had the privilege of working on a Black Friday one day just to see how insane it actually was. Now, that was several years ago, but it was intense. It was crazy just to see everybody out there just like ants on sugar, right? Just buying, consuming it. And that has intensified over the years, right? And so with holiday spending, you really want to look at retail stocks because they can have a nice pump from all the money that has been being pushed into these retail stocks, and it drives them higher during this time. And again, the consumer sentiment is higher. People are spending money. They're festive. They're hopeful. They're excited about the new year. And so that trickles down into the stock market. We also have low trading volume that occurs during this time of the year. And what that means is that your larger funds, your institutional traders, they're taking time off from the market. Their work pretty much is done for the year. And so you're not going to see those massive spikes in volume like you'll see at other points during the year. And because of that, smaller transactions, fewer shares can push the market higher as opposed to those big, massive transactions that are taking place by those large institutional traders. And that can enhance and add to that rally effect. And then there's also elements of taxes that come into play where, you know, this is the last week to be able to take a loss and realize a loss and have that factor into institutional traders, retail traders, their tax statements for the following year. And so if they're going to take a loss, they may do it there, put that money somewhere else, which is why you could see some stocks really start to take off at that time. So we know what causes and leads to the Santa Claus Rally, but what about some statistics surrounding the rally and what it can mean for us in terms of trading and what are we looking for? But just some of these stats that I pulled up here to share with you. Since 1928, the Santa Claus Rally has been positive about 75% of the time. Now think about that. That's a staggering number. So that's a high probability to take into consideration for what we should encounter that final week of December. And then again, going back to that seasonality, and I've referenced this tool before on the show, the Stock Trader's Almanac, that the average return for the market during the Santa Claus Rally, again, which is December, if you want to define it exactly, it's December 24th to January 2nd, it's about 1.3%. Okay. Now that might not seem like a lot, but if you take 1.3% of the S&P 500, which is between 5,900 and 6,000, that's quite a lot, right? So there is money to be made in this push. And you know, if you take a look at the broader time frame, such as the last 5 days of the year, December 26th through the 31st of December, the average return is still positive, around 1.3 to 1.5%. So you really do have this strong push, this increase in values that really we've got to pay attention to. And with a 75% win rate over several decades, we're going back to 1928. The Santa Claus Rally isn't just folklore, right? It's a real pattern. It's tangible that you can take advantage of. And then the last question we need to ask ourselves is, if we do have a powerful Santa Claus Rally, well, what does that mean for the following year in terms of returns in the stock market? And what we see from the data is that if we see that rise that occurs that last week of December into those first few days of January, the stock market tends to see overall greater returns than in years where it doesn't, right? So there's a historical tendency that if that happens, we're going to see a nice return in the market, especially during that first quarter. And so if we see that this year, be ready for a strong first quarter in 2025. And then here's this statistic. Since 1950, the S&P 500 has shown a greater than 80% chance of posting a positive return for the following year when the Santa Claus Rally was strong, right? So 80%. So all you bulls out there, you better be hoping that there is a strong push in the market during this rally, because that will carry over. Now, for you bears, if the rally does fail to materialize, that is a red flag, and that we potentially could see the market take a dip. And considering how strong we've moved in these past 2 years following the bear market of 2022, if we don't have a strong Santa Claus rally, if we see things start to really cool off, we see a correction, that could be a cause for pause for traders and investors. And maybe we see some bearishness come into the market. We don't see those generous returns that we've seen the past 2 years. So this is something just very interesting, something that you want to pay attention to, especially we're in the most wonderful time of the year, to see how it does play out. And it's going to be a lot of fun. And by taking all these things into account, you can use them to your advantage in your trading, your swing trading, and really just try to capitalize on these moves. And so there you go. There you have it. It's the Santa Claus Rally. It's going to be coming here soon. I hope that you are able to take advantage of it if it does in fact hit this year. And if it doesn't, then you're also prepared on that bearish side to take advantage of things as they move lower. And now it is time for Mr. Roku. Let's check him out. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so here we go. Here's Mr. Roku here on this Monday. Let's take a look at how he is doing on this fine day and just get an idea of the sentiment, what we're seeing out there. And so again, we had that gap down that occurred on earnings here. We got some buying that came in. We pushed back up. We hit a recent high of 78.59, but then you could see the bear step right back in, push it down into all these moving averages. And really, you could see that's where we're hanging out right now. We're right above the 100 SMA on the daily. You do have the 50 SMA on the weekly. Down below it, you have that 200. And really, there's some accumulation that's taking place here. Not a lot of volume that's coming in here on this ticker. And really, what couple different ways we can look at this is we are putting in higher lows off of that low from earnings. And we'll see if that continues, if it does push higher, if this is just a little bit of accumulation consolidation before a push back up. And then we'll see if we can create the structure to where it's higher highs and higher lows. Now, if we break down below the 100, we're going to want to see if there could be a bounce that comes in at the 200. And then if that would get taken out, then the next area to watch to act as a support would be that lower wick here on that gap down following earnings from Halloween. So, just kind of a nothing burger right now, not too much doing. We'll have to see how it plays out. If you go back to January or December into January of last year, just to see what it did. Here's December. It did push up. It did get to a high of 108.90, but then just started this slow descent down into January and pushed up into February to $99.78. And then that's when that big gap down came into play. So we'll see how it plays out. For now, Mr. Roku is doing a whole lot of nothing. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for episode number 39 of the Traders Podcast. I'm your grateful and appreciative host here, Jeremy Ritz, once again saying happy Thanksgiving to all of you out there. Hopefully you've learned something about the Santa Claus Rally that you can now apply to your trading and investing. I hope you have an amazing restful, peaceful, relaxing time with your family and friends this week for Thanksgiving. And I will catch you back here for episode 40 of the Traders Podcast. And don't forget, Edmund and I just relaunched Courage Pays Better Than Fear. So be sure to check out the new episode that we put out last week. We're going to have new episodes every week coming at you. And if I can help you with anything, please reach out to me, comment on this video, hit me up via email, couragepaysbetter@gmail.com, and I will see you back here for episode 40 of the Traders Podcast. Take care, everyone.